Welcome to the What's Happening Birmingham video podcast.
Good morning, everyone. This is Jefferson with What's Happening in Birmingham. Today, I have the honor and pleasure of being with Jefferson County District Attorney Danny Carr. Mr. Carr, good to see you.
Good to see you, buddy. Always good to see you, man. I remember last time we talked, it was during election time, so I appreciate you coming back.
Yeah, thank you for taking time out your day. I know you've been very busy lately, headlines and everything. Yeah. So how's it been going?
It's been going well. I agree, it's been very busy.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not something that I didn't expect. Again, it's been busy. It's been challenging, but at the same time, it's been great so far. So I'm honored to serve as district attorney, and I'm happy to be able to serve the people of Jefferson County.
All right. Well, what are some of your expectations? I know you was acting, but then the official. Was there any difference?
It is, and I tell people in this office, I've gone through stages. I started off as just one of the frontline prosecutors who just come to work and try cases and get the next batch of cases and deal with them and go home or whatever. But then you move up into an administrative role, which is not as much as lawyering as it is being an administrator of an office this size. So it's different now that you've been elected versus even being interim, because interim, you're there for that period of time with the possibility of being removed because your future and your availability is not dependent on you, it's dependent on another person. But now being elected, we're trying to make sure things run as smoothly as possible here. Cases are still moving, our grand jury is still working, and I think the judges are happy, and I think the people that work here are happy with the direction of the office.
Okay, I know I asked you this question when you was running for office, but just in case the public don't know, because a lot of times people really don't know about the criminal justice system, what is the role of a district attorney, in your opinion?
Yeah, the district attorney role is the main thing is to just do what's right. And from the DA standpoint, when people talk about their role is bifurcated, meaning they have two roles. In most instances, the district attorney role is to protect the person who may be accused of committing a criminal offense sometime, versus just looking at it from prosecuting a person that's been charged. So one of the major roles, I said, is to make sure that the innocent doesn't suffer and the guilty doesn't go free. And I've said that in this role, in my opinion, I'd rather a guilty guy go free than an innocent guy do a day in prison, because at the end of the day, my job is to make sure that justice is served. And justice doesn't necessarily mean a person going to prison. It could also mean that the right result occur.
All right, so one of the biggest things I noticed when you was running, you wanted to be, you was pushing more community outreach.
Absolutely.
So what initiatives have you kind of started working on now that you're in office?
That's a great question. Most DAs may disagree with me that a district attorney shall be involved in community outreach and be involved in trying to stop some of the criminal activity that's going on. We have some initiatives coming up. One initiative that I've been pushing very hard is the Helping Families Initiative that deals with our kids, and it deals with school compulsory attendance. A lot of people don't know this, that the law says that the district attorney shall enforce school compulsory attendance. It doesn't even say I shall prosecute a murder case, but it says I shall enforce school compulsory attendance. So what we've done is gotten creative and put a multidisciplinary team together to deal with that, because the pipeline of prison is real. When young kids drop out of school, unless they're rich or they have a skill, the next thing that happen, they'll put a gun in their hand, they start hanging around the wrong people, and they'll get in that pipeline. So for me, in my mind, criminal justice reform goes along with that, because in my mind, criminal justice reform is not necessarily saying, let's make the sentences lighter for this crime, because that person was still, instead of giving them 5 years, let's give them 2 years. Well, he still has a felony. He still got to deal with that the rest of his life. Criminal justice reform, to me, is trying to stop people from even coming in the system. So that's how we need to change our mindset. We need to change our kids' mindset, and we need to change our mindset to look at it in a different light. But the Helping Families Initiative deals with that. There's another program I'm working on now that hopefully we get it going soon. It's going to be a DA Office Academy that deals, it'll be called Cool Guys. And it's going to deal with the young age group. Maybe I'm looking at 8th grade to 11th grade. And we're going to try to put a curriculum together for them to make sure that they understand the ramifications of their actions, and hopefully we can kind of divert those guys from going into a life of crime or being in the wrong place at the wrong time or doing the wrong things, and hopefully they can then impart that wisdom to somebody else, and we can keep it going on and on and on. But there are a lot of stuff we're doing and that we plan on doing, man. You know, it's just, you know, we still have to run the office and prosecute cases too, so you know, the balancing act of that is difficult, but we're gonna get there.
All right, one thing I want to talk to you about next is, you know, since I got you in front of me, and you know, just this opportunity to keep the public aware, is what new types of criminal activity have you noticed happening in Jefferson County in the last 6 months or last 12 months?
I'll tell you, robbery is still very prevalent, and I found that robbery cases where most of the time that the perpetrator is under the age of 21, which is kind of startling. I think, and I'll give you a statistic, just last year alone, 2017, this office issued maybe 7,600 some odd felony warrants. This past year in 18, this office issued 8,064 felony warrants, if I'm not mistaken. And of the homicides that occurred, I know people report that there are 100 and some odd homicides. I think in 2018, we issued 76 murder warrants, and of that, I want to say the perpetrator or the defendant under the age of 23 was maybe 24 people, and the victim under the age of 23 may have been 28 or 29, something like that. So you can see that number is almost at 49 to 50, and the overall amount of warrants that we issued was 74. So that number is close to the amount of warrants we issued in homicide cases. But I tell you, man, the violent offenses are rising. People are grabbing guns. Conflict resolution always involves guns, and we got to figure out a way to deal with that. We got to figure out a way to deal with that, because once you pull that trigger, I tell young people, your life changes, and most of the time, your life changes and your family life changes, because a lot of shootings we see are retaliatory, and innocent people are killed, and so we have to figure out a way to stop that.
I want to talk about the victims first. Say for instance, violent crime has occurred. You all arrest the individual, but the next process, as far as going through trial, what would you like to tell the public about that process? And I guess, like a lot of people want swift justice, but how the system works in that case.
Yeah, I always tell people this is a marathon, not a sprint. And if you think about 8,000 felony warrants, we only have maybe 8 circuit judges where those cases can land. So there are only so many courtrooms to deal with so many cases. But at the same time, there's a process. A person is charged, then they have to go through what's called district court, where they can have a preliminary hearing. Then once that happens, then it goes on to the grand jury. Then once that happens, then it's set in circuit court for trial. Nobody could have a trial or be tried for a case without being indicted by a grand jury, no matter what the charge is, from murder to simple possession. Any felony case in Alabama has to go through a grand jury process. Now that can take some time too, all those different steps. But at the same time, one thing that the public always have questions about is why they see in the headlines a person is charged with murder and then it's reduced, or he may get a great deal. He may get a 20-year sentence or a 15-year sentence. Well, a lot of times that's because witnesses change their story. They won't come forward. They won't talk anymore. So a deal is reached. But at the end of the day, there are so many components to get to that end result. we would talk all day if I had the time to talk all day about all the components that's required to the point of getting from charging to a trial to actually having a person take the witness stand to actually having a jury verdict. There's a lot of components.
Well, let's talk about juries.
Yes.
And, one thing people hate to do is serve on jury duty. But talk about how that impacts the, slow down the caseload possibly and, bring justice.
Yeah. We cannot try cases and bring justice without people serving on jury duty. But also another byproduct of that is people serving on a grand jury, which takes a little more time because that grand jury, when you serve on jury duty here, you get a summons, you come, you may hear one case and you go home. Well, on grand jury, you have to come for 3 consecutive months, 1 week out of each month. So it's a sacrifice, but at the same time, it's your civic duty, and we need more people to consider coming to serve on a jury because that's the only way that we can get trials done. Without 12 people or 13 people on a jury trial, or what they call a petite jury, then we can't get the case tried. Without 18 people considering serving on a grand jury, we can't get the case indicted. So it's important that people understand in order to keep the process moving and being part of the process is that serving on a jury or a grand jury panel is an important piece of your civic duty.
Oh, I got one final question because we're about to do a part 2 interview.
Yes.
That's going to be very interesting and entertaining.
Yes.
If they see crime, suspicious crime, what number can they call? And I know this is very important because a lot of people say when they see a crime, what number can they call?
Well, and I'm glad you said that because I like to tell people that if you see something happening or if you see a crime, the first thing you have to do is call the police because my office, we're not an investigatory body where we're out there patrolling the streets. We deal with the courtroom aspect of it. But at the same time, I've told people before, and people may think this is strange to me, but I think we need to go back to the old neighborhood watch. Okay. When people talking about taking over their neighborhoods, but the number they can call here is 325-5252. But again, that would probably be not too necessary to say, hey, something's going on right now because we're not patrol officers. But if you do, I can probably get a patrol officer out there to you. Right. So that's the office. That's the number here. Just for everybody's edification. Yeah.
All right. Well, this return card. Thank you. We're about to do part 2, which I'm going to tell you what it's going to be. It's going to be about snitching.
Amen.
This is something that goes on in the community. We're going to get straight from his mouth what snitching and how prevalent it is. So stay tuned for part 2 on what's happening Birmingham.com or check out the YouTube channel. Thank you all again. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching the What's Happening Birmingham video podcast. Please check out our website, app, or subscribe to our YouTube channel for the latest videos today.